The lower nature gets us to do the comfortable things, to choose the easy option, as opposed to the difficult things that we know are going to help us grow. The lower nature has no discipline because it doesn't want to make sacrifice. It doesn't like to make sacrifice. It lives for instant gratification. The lower nature clutches to sensory gratification, eating, watching screens, listening, always, podcasts, YouTube, whatever it might be. Always stimulated, never allowing space. The higher nature sacrifices. The higher nature knows that discipline is in fact freedom. For what is freedom if we are slave to our desires? What is freedom if we are slave to our desires? The higher nature makes the sacrifice. The higher nature lives for the future and long-term gain as opposed to short-term pleasure. Short-term pleasure. The higher nature isn't even that interested in short-term pleasure, and definitely is invested all the way, not just for the destination, but for the process. For the process. The lower nature is all about the destination. The higher nature, oh baby, is about the process. So today's video, we're talking about discipline, we're talking about freedom, and the fact that discipline is indeed freedom. I'm not the first person to say this. You might have heard Jocko Willink say it. You might have heard other people say it. But I'm reminding you today, and I'm reminding myself, that discipline is freedom. When I'm lonely, when I feel lonely, I spend a lot of time alone, guys. And for the past 2.5 years, I've just been smoking up to compensate for that. I've just been smoking up because I've been lonely, I've been bored, and when I'm frustrated, there's a problem that I can't solve in the moment, I've clutched to that instant gratification. And this has been for years and years and years. Before smoking, it would be food. Okay, before food, it would be video games. Right? So I've always clutched until now to instant pleasures. This is just how I was programmed. This is how so many of us are programmed. We are programmed in this construct to go for the quick option, to go for the convenient choice, to go for the instant gratification, as opposed to sacrificing, delaying gratification, putting in some work, doing what's difficult for a greater gain, for a different kind of pleasure. Okay, a different kind of pleasure, and that's the pleasure of being someone that you're proud of. Yeah, the pleasure of being someone that I'm proud of. That's pleasurable. That is pleasurable, to be proud of ourselves. Yeah, to go to bed at night going, wow, what a day. Yes, yes, yes. Victory. This is a different pleasure. This is long-term pleasure. This is the long-term gain that we get from making that sacrifice. So let's talk about it. Freedom. A lot of us say, oh, I want to be free. I want to be free. And so that's why I indulge. I want to be free. So that's why I want to have all the options. Yeah. Here's a crazy one. I'm starting to realize that the fewer choices we have, sometimes the better. For example, when I was trying to find my purpose, when I was really depressed, I'm talking in 2019, from morning till night, blazing, chonging, baby, eating sugar. Man, I couldn't even go 5 minutes if I was at the train station. If I was waiting for public transport and I had to wait, oh, I didn't want to wait. I got myself so much into an addictive cycle that even though I'd had a history in meditation and practicing yoga, I was got. I was fully got by instant gratification again. And so 5 minutes to wait for public transport, too long. Too long. Let me go buy a 4-pack of Snickers and gobble them up. No lie, I'm not over exaggerating when I say that. I'd eat like 3-4 Snickers in 5 minutes, baby. Now that's intense. That's intense. That ain't freedom. That ain't freedom. Do you get me? Now, when I was going through this depression, I was feeling very hopeless, purposeless, didn't have a reason to get up in the morning, felt like there was no reason to live. The thoughts that were going on in my mind again and again was, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? And at some time in our lives, I believe every human being will ask this question, what's the point? And I'll talk more on that in another video. What is the point of life? Yeah? Is the point to just gratify our senses, to just get what we want? Is that the point? To get what we want? I don't think so. I don't think so. And this is a different angle of life that you're going to hear on YouTube, because a lot of people are going to tell you that you got to make this amount of money, or you got to get all the girls, or you got to go traveling around the world and follow your dreams and all of this stuff. Get this. In fewer choices, there is freedom. What was getting me so low was the fact that I was so bombarded with options. I don't know if you're like me, but if you've got a million things that you're interested in, then it's almost impossible to choose. Whereas back in the day, medieval times, man would have been a blacksmith just because that was what his family had done. That's what his father did. Son of a blacksmith, so I'm a blacksmith. Son of an archer, so I'm an archer. Son of a leather worker, so I'm a leather worker. Whatever it is. We would receive our craft. We would follow a family tradition. It was simpler. And I came to realize this and thought, wow, you know what? In a sense, I bet it was even better. I bet mental health back then was so much better than it is today, because there were fewer choices. So if I asked you, hey, do you want to watch Netflix? Do you want to watch a movie? We get Netflix up. How many choices are there? If we don't know exactly what we want to watch, we're going to be spoiled for choice. We might not even watch anything. We might just say, you know what? Screw this. There's too much. It's overwhelming. Yeah? So sometimes removing choice, and this is the point, to remove choice gives us freedom. To remove choice, this is to cut away other options. This is discipline. To remove options from what we allow ourselves to do, what we allow ourselves to partake in, to indulge in. The lower nature wants to clutch. The lower nature loves to indulge and attach itself to comfort, certainty, predictability. Yeah? Day in, day out. Until it gets fed up. I got fed up. The higher nature acknowledges that in today's society we've got all the choices, and this can be a hindrance to the human organism. We've got an animal nature. I don't know if you're familiar with the reptilian brain, limbic brain, neocortical brain. But this limbic brain, this mammalian brain, this mammal one, emotional brain, is so easily programmed. So when we walk into the supermarket and you've got all these shiny wrappers, you've got all these sugary treats, it's speaking to that mammalian brain, that limbic brain, and it's activating an emotion, and then boom, we go and get it. So to be healthy, happy human beings in this world, what I'm starting to understand is we got to remove choices. Delete options. Control Alt Delete. Boom. You are the task manager. Control Alt Delete. End task. Okay? And what do I mean by that? Decide places that you're not going to go. Write yourself a not to-do list. I'm not the first person to say this. I ain't acting like it either. Write yourself a not to-do list, or we ain't going there list. Yeah? Practice abstinence just a bit, and you don't need to go extreme. You don't need to starve yourself. You don't need to go all in straight away. I believe in that progressive approach. So little by little, start removing these choices that have been subjecting you to influence of the lower nature. Okay? So don't go in the little shops on your walk home. Don't go there, because you know that you're going to go in there, just buy some chocolate. Just walk past the shop. Remove the option. Because when you're not in the shop, then you don't have all those options. And this is a good thing. Fewer distractions. So many options. So many distractions. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I go to uni? Shall I do an apprenticeship? Shall I start my own business? Shall I get a graduate job? Shall I get a 9 to 5? Shall I go traveling around the world? So many options. And I'll say this, guys, I went traveling for 2.5 years around Europe, hitchhiking, tent, backpack, freestyling, 700 quid. This is how much I took with me, and I lasted 2 years. And I even came back and went there again with that same budget. How did I manage to do that? I removed options. Yeah. I said, I ain't paying for transport. I ain't even paying for food. I ain't paying for accommodation. I'm camping. I'm hustling for food, speaking in local languages, using social skills. Yeah. Social, person-to-person skill. And I'm sleeping in this tent. I'll find that nature spots. But here's the thing. All those travels, yeah. At the end of that journey, I was so depressed. Why was I so depressed? Because I had all these choices and I didn't know what to do. I still felt no purpose. I didn't feel fulfilled, and so following our dreams isn't always the answer. You might not have heard that. You might not be used to hearing that. That might trigger you. But so many people are going to say, follow your dreams, follow your dreams. And I'm not saying don't follow your heart, don't live from the heart. I'm saying lead from the heart. But let's remove a lot of these distractions, because even after years and years of traveling, I felt so depressed. And so if you're thinking that that's what you want to do and you want to live that money-free life, you might do that. I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but you might do that and get to the end of it and think, well, now what's the point? I got to a point where I was just hopping from country to country, and it was like, well, what's the point? What is my point? What is my objective? So have an objective, a clear objective, and then remove the distractions around that. Remove those distractions. Eliminate choice. Trust. This could be a benefit to you if you're feeling overwhelmed with choice. Dig one hole, not 10. Dig one hole, not 10. Because if you try and dig 10 holes, I learned this the hard way after years and years and years. Still am learning it. You don't dig anything. You don't get so deep in any of those holes. So try and dig one hole. Yeah, whatever it is you're doing, you've got a craft, hone in on it. You've got a passion, hone in on it. You're working a job, hone in on being the best there. Yeah. You got a few business ideas, get clear on which one ticks the most boxes for you and hone in on it. So I removed many options. And in fact, sometimes we don't remove the options, but life removes the options for us. So when I started bleeding through the bum again with ulcerative colitis, I'm still on that healing journey, peeps. I'm still on that healing journey. I was traveling when I started experiencing symptoms again. Now I was almost forced to come home. I could have stayed out there yet, but the chances of me dying would have went up. So I came home and those choices were removed. It was like, right, man, you ain't traveling. You ain't traveling now. COVID started. Yeah. CVID. It came. So much of our choice was taken away. Now, for some of us, this felt like being trapped. For some of us, this felt like freedom. For me, when it got clear that, hey, this traveling lifestyle is going on pause for some time, I might not even ever do that again. And with the health being the way that it was like, so be it. I'm meant to be here. I'm meant to be here at home, focusing on my purpose and delivering my service to the world. So it isn't just through videos like these. This is the least of it. This is the smallest part. It's been teaching people how to meditate. It's been helping people learn yin-yang philosophy and helping them change their lives through that knowledge. Applied. One-to-one coaching. Helping people transform their lives, getting unstuck. Okay? out of these lonely cycles of self-sabotage, just punishing the self. Yeah, because we got the choice to. Now this is the mad thing about human psychology. And it ain't just human psychology, it's mammal psychology. Rats in a cage, if you got a rat in a cage and you give it cocaine, you give it a supply, and you put electric shocking pads between it and the cocaine, if it's had a hit, oh baby, that's going to go walking through those electrical currents and shock itself up and experience all that physical pain just to get the hit. So, what does that tell us about the brain? That instant gratification, once our dopamine has been dysregulated enough through sugar, weed, drugs, alcohol, YouTube, Netflix, whatever it is. Of course, these substances have different levels, different degrees of intensity. But the more intense it is, the more we'll go for it, and we'll even sit in the pain. Yeah, we'll go through the pain to get that hit. We'll put ourselves through pain, physical pain. We'll sacrifice our health, our wellness, our well-being just to get another hit. That's exactly what I've been doing with Mary Jane for the past 2.5 years. Even when the breathing was feeling difficult, even when my lungs weren't feeling good, I'd still be blazing. It's like I'm not listening to the body. Do you know what I mean? So we don't listen to the body. We don't listen. When we've got all these choices, all these instant gratifications, I've acknowledged that this human can be weak enough to just choose that stuff. If it's all available, and if I'm allowing it to be, and if I'm saying yes to everything, then wow, man's going to get hooked into an addictive cycle. It's just happened again and again and again. Enough times for me to realise that, okay, maybe moderation isn't possible with some things. Or you know what, maybe I'm not as strong as I thought. Yeah, maybe I've got to submit some of my will to a higher force. Yeah, maybe I've got to structure my day in a way that's beyond what I just want for myself. But it's like, when's the sun getting up? Okay, we'll get up with that. And so here's where Islam is so beautiful, because there's 5 prayers a day. And, you know, I used to think, wow, wouldn't it be amazing to meditate 5 times a day? Now, whatever it is, 5 practices a day, but not on your own time. Not in my own time, not when I want to do it. When it's time. When it's time, that's been determined. And there's people all around the world obeying that. And that keeps us in line. Those practices, the meditation, the prayer, the yoga, whatever it is. Doing that frequently, even when we don't want to. But because we're devoted, that's discipline. So discipline is doing the things that we know are good for us. We know deep down our soul wants to do those things. And we do them even when we don't feel like it, even when the lower nature doesn't feel like it. Do you get me? If we're living lives just based on how we feel, this might be different for the sisters. This might be different for the sisters. I'm not sure. I'm a male. I'm just speaking from my own experience. So if this resonates with you, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And that's okay. If we're living from the feelings always, in my experience, this is a downward spiral. This is a downward spiral. Okay? So do the things that you know you want to do, that the soul wants to do, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. And of course, pace yourself, because willpower is like a tank and it can go empty. And so too much too soon, this can just yield the opposite result. This can lead to burnout and further self-sabotage. So this is why it can be important to have a guide, a coach, a mentor. Yeah? And so if you want some mentorship, you want to do some one-to-one coaching, or you're just interested, you want to know if my program's a good fit for you, 12-week one-to-one coaching program or other services that you can inquire about, then check out the link in the description and book a free call in. Book a free call, let's just have a chit chat and see what's happening. But if you're feeling stuck, you're feeling like you're going round in these cycles, you're living from that lower nature, and you want to start living more from the higher nature, then let's do it together. Either way, you've got this. Either way, you've got this. So how I would define discipline is the ability to do the things that our soul knows is good for us, even when we don't feel like it. And when I say we don't feel like it, is that really us? I would rather identify more with the higher being as opposed to identifying with that. That's just resistance. But if you're identifying with it, then yeah, that's you, that lower nature. So it's when you don't feel like it. But I'd say even when there's resistance, we do the things that our higher nature wants to do. And that resistance comes from the lower nature. Clutching to old ways, clutching to the easy option, clutching to comfort. Okay? So, moral of the story is, discipline is freedom. And sometimes all the choices, this is what leads to bondage, slavery. Yeah? I felt like a slave to my desires. And where did that lead me? Wanting to die. No joke. It led me to a place of, I don't see a point in living. Because there wasn't a point in living like that. I had the real experience of it. There ain't no point in living just for desire. There ain't no point in living just for wanting, wanting, wanting. Yeah. So you either experience that enough until you get fed up, like I was, literally fed up from stuffing the mouth, or you decide to start removing some of those options and live a life that is directed by something other than personal desire. Transpersonal desire. What does that mean? That doesn't mean go change your gender. It sounds kind of like it, doesn't it? Transpersonal desire. What does that mean? That means a desire that is beyond my own self, a community need, something that the world needs, something that my community needs, my family needs, my tribe needs. There's a problem to be solved. And I know that I could fit into the role of helping solve that problem. So this is when I started teaching yoga and meditation 3 years ago. If you're watching this in 2022, 3 years ago. And that's what saved me. That's what saved me. That's at least one of the things that saved me. But it wasn't the complete picture. It was just one. Finding purpose is just one, because there was still, lack of knowledge and lack of application of knowledge. I was still falling into the lower nature. I still have been. I'm not going to try and paint a perfect picture here to say that I've fully made it and man's always up in the higher nature. No, because then you'll expect too much from me. You'll idolize me. We shouldn't idolize anyone, because everyone's got a lower nature and everyone can succumb to it. Okay? So it's a day by day chess game. That's how I see it now. Day by day chess game. And there ain't a day that the devil doesn't whisper in our ears. There isn't a day that the devil doesn't whisper in my ear. Okay? If I get frustrated, and I've been fasting during Ramadan, I've been working on my business, coaching programs. If I get frustrated because I don't know the answer, it's like, want to go and smoke something, want to go and eat something. Well, too bad. We're fasting, baby. And this isn't a normal fast. This is a Ramadan fast. This is food and water. As the minimum, we don't consume that from sunrise till sundown. But we're also abstaining from all the other instant gratifications, like, music that we don't really need to be listening to, TV that we don't really need to be watching, conversations that we don't really need to be having, foul language, whatever it might be, scrolling on Instagram, looking at girls. I ain't doing that whilst I'm fasting. Come on. So remove the options and trust in enough time our neurochemistry can rebalance. And we'll find that freedom is in discipline, not in choices. We've got all the choices. And what's that doing? It's sending us downwards. We're living like degenerates, meaning that we're moving backwards. We're devolving in a sense. That's what's been until now. And so, a few choices can be liberating. Simple life. Yeah, I vibe with that. I'm happy with that. A simple life. Cool. So my goal is to be able to feed myself organic food. If you want to help support me in that, so I can just keep a shelter above my head, eat organic food, and deliver my service to you and to the world, then hit subscribe, like the video, leave a comment if this resonated with you, and share it with someone that's overindulging, someone that's feeling fed up, okay? Someone you know that's on that path of indulgence, and they've been feeling very low because of it. Check out the description in this video for any information or links. I don't know what's going to be in there. Potentially a link to sign up to my mailing list where I share exclusive content that no one sees anywhere else. I'm talking extra vulnerable. Do you get me? So, moral of the story, moral of this video, what I'll check out with is that we should do the things that we're avoiding even when we don't feel like doing them. We should do the things that our soul wants to do even when we don't feel like doing them. I ain't the first to spit that message, but I'll say, do the thing that you're avoiding. You know there's things that you're avoiding. So choose one and get at it and then do the others. Okay? Much love. Take care. Peace.